There's a place on Earth where sunlight has never
sunlight.
existed. Not because it's hidden, not because it's unreachable, but because light itself cannot survive there. Miles beneath the ocean's surface, beneath crushing layers of black water, exists a world where pressure can bend steel like paper, where silence is so deep it doesn't feel
Down here,
empty.
time moves
It
differently.
feels aware.
Evolution
Down here,
takes darker
time
turns.
doesn't behave the way we
Bones
expect.
twist,
Evolution
skin turns
doesn't
transparent,
follow
eyes
familiar
grow
rules.
massive.
Bones don't grow straight. They twist, thin, and sometimes disappear entirely. Skin turns
Don't grow
transparent,
for chewing.
not for
They
beauty,
grow for never
but
letting
because
go.
color has no meaning in the dark.
And the
Eyes
deeper you
grow
descend,
massive, stretching
the more
far
familiar
beyond
light
what seems
begins to
natural.
disappear.
Not to admire the world, but to detect the smallest movement in a place where darkness never ends. Teeth don't grow for chewing. They grow for never letting go. And with every meter you
These creatures
descend,
evolved
the
assuming
ocean
no one
takes
would ever
something
find
else
them.
away. Familiar shapes vanish. Recognizable
And yet they're
life
down there,
disappears. Fish stop looking like fish. Creatures stop looking
Tonight,
alive.
we're going where
Some don't
sunlight
even
has
look
never
real.
existed.
As if nightmares themselves learn how to breathe underwater.
As we slip beneath the surface,
what you're about
the
to
ocean
see
begins to
was
steal
never
something
meant
from
to be
us.
seen. These creatures evolved believing no
First,
eyes would ever
color.
witness them. And yet, they're down there, watching, waiting.
Reds vanish
Tonight,
within minutes.
we
Oranges and
descend to a
yellows
place
fade
where
soon after.
sunlight has never reached to understand why the
Until everything
deepest
is
parts of our
drowned in
planet
blue.
don't create
And then,
animals.
slowly,
They create
blue
monsters.
disappears too.
As we slip
This region
beneath the
is known
surface,
as
the
the
ocean
Twilight
begins to
Zone.
steal something from us. Not sound,
It's not because it's
not
imaginary,
warmth,
but because it
color.
exists between what
Reds
we understand
vanish within minutes,
and what we don't.
Oranges and yellows fade soon after, until the world is drowned in blue. And then, slowly,
It's not because it's
even
imaginary,
blue
but because it
disappears.
exists between what we
remains
understand
isn't
and what we
darkness. It's absence. This region is known as the Twilight Zone. Not because it's imaginary, but because it exists between what we understand and what we don't. Here, sunlight arrives broken and weak, barely enough to survive on. Plants cannot grow. Nothing is produced. Every living thing here survives on what falls from above. Dead plankton, sinking waste,
Not to see
and
clearly,
sometimes the bodies of creatures from the
detect
world we
movement,
know.
where light
And this
barely
single
exists.
condition, scarcity, changes everything. Eyes begin to grow, not slightly, not gradually.
clearly,
They grow
but to detect
enormous,
movement where light
far
barely
larger
exists.
than the skulls that struggle to hold
This
them.
light,
Not to see
bioluminescence,
clearly,
is not beauty.
not to admire shapes or color, but to detect the smallest disturbance
It is
in a
strange.
world where light barely exists. A flicker, a shadow, a movement that lasts less than a second. For many creatures,
A sudden flash
that
to
is the
confuse a
difference
predator.
between feeding and vanishing forever. But some life forms choose a different path. They don't wait for light. They create it. Soft blue
And yet,
flashes
scientists
pulse
still
through the
don't fully
darkness.
understand it.
Green signals flicker, then disappear. Points of light
Why do similar
appear
animals
where
glow
nothing
in
should
completely
exist,
different patterns?
only to vanish again.
Why do some
This
flash
glow,
once, while others pulse
bioluminescence,
endlessly
is
in
not
the dark?
decoration. It is not beautiful. It is a weapon. A fall star suspended in black water, designed to pull prey closer,
But one thing
closer,
is clear.
until escape is impossible. A sudden flash, not to attack, but to confuse. A coded signal, invisible to outsiders,
Below this point,
meant
pressure
only for
becomes
others
the
of the
true
same
ruler.
species. A private language spoken in light.
These depths,
And yet,
the ocean
despite
presses down
decades
with
of
thousands
research,
tons of force.
scientists still don't fully understand it. Why do nearly identical animals produce completely different light patterns?
But
Why
life
does one
does not
flash
disappear.
once, while another pulses endlessly in a rhythm no human can decode? No one knows for sure, but one thing is certain. The Twilight
On
Zone
Earth,
is not
where
the
no
deep
human
ocean.
eye has ever
It is
seen
only a
sunlight.
warning, because below this point, light disappears forever. As we descend further, darkness stops being
Miles
the
beneath
enemy.
the surface,
Pressure
beneath
takes its
crushing
place.
layers of black water.
At these depths, the ocean presses down with thousands of tons of force. Enough to bend steel. Enough to crush machines. enough to
here,
collapse
time
a
moves
human
differently.
body in seconds.
Evolution takes
Lungs would
darker
flatten,
turns.
blood would boil,
Bones twist,
bones would shatter,
skin turns
and yet,
transparent,
life
eyes grow
continues,
massive.
not by resisting pressure, but by surrendering to it. There are no air-filled spaces here, no rigid skeletons.
Teeth don't grow for
Bodies
chewing.
become soft,
They grow for never
flexible,
letting go.
gelatinous. They look fragile,
And the deeper you
almost
descend,
unfinished, but they are perfectly
familiar
adapted.
life begins to
Bones
disappear.
thin until they're barely there. Muscles weaken, conserving every ounce of energy. Shapes stretch and distort, as if evolution stopped caring about appearance entirely.
These creatures
One
evolved
fish
assuming
opens
no
its
one would
mouth
ever find
wider than its own body, not to chase prey, but to wait.
And yet they're young.
Another has a transparent skull, its brain fully visible, protected
Tonight,
only
we're
by
going where
pressure
sunlight has
and
never
water.
existed.
Speed is useless here. Strength
As we
is
slip beneath
wasteful.
the surface, the
in a
ocean
world
begins to
where
steal something
food
from us.
may come once a week or once a month.
First,
You don't hunt.
color.
You wait. You float. And when something finally moves, when the
Reds
rare
vanish within
opportunity
minutes. Oranges
appears,
and yellows fade soon
you take
after.
it. But this raises questions science
Until
still
everything
struggles
is
to
drowned
answer.
in blue.
If vision
Then,
barely
slowly,
works, how do
blue
these creatures
disappears
hunt
too.
at all?
This region
Do they
is
sense
known
vibrations?
as the Twilight
Electrical
Zone.
fields? Chemical trails drifting
It's
through
not
the
because
water?
it's imaginary,
The
but
truth
because it exists
is
between what we
unsettling.
understand
We don't
and what
fully
we don't.
understand how life functions
she
at these depths. And as extreme as this world already is, pressure
Not
is
because it's
no
imaginary,
longer the
but because
greatest
it
danger.
exists between what we
Because
understand
below this
and what we
depth,
don't.
something far more final awaits. Now we cross a line that only a handful of machines have ever survived. There are no seasons here, no sunrise, no night. There isn't even a true sense of direction. Up and down lose meaning. Time loses structure. This is the abyssal zone. The water is near freezing, but cold is no longer the greatest challenge. Energy is. Nothing grows here. Nothing is produced. There is no beginning to the food
Not to
chain,
see clearly,
only its end. What little nourishment
but to
exists
detect
arrives
movement
slowly,
where light
endlessly,
barely exists.
as decay. Flakes of dead plankton, waste from creatures that lived and died far above. Fragments of bodies
Not
that
to see
never
clearly,
meant to fall this far.
but to detect
Scientists
movement
call it
where light
marine
barely
snow,
exists.
and every creature here lives on patience.
This light,
Metabolism's
bioluminescence,
slow
is not
to a
beauty.
crawl. Heartbeats stretch seconds apart. Some animals may wait months, even years for a single meal, because missing one opportunity might mean never eating again. Bodies adapt accordingly. Teeth grow long, needle thin, not to chew, but to never
The
let
sudden
go.
flash to control
Jaws
the predator.
loosen, unhinging beyond what should be possible, allowing prey larger than the predator itself to be swallowed whole, because tomorrow may never come. Skin turns darker than darkness,
And yet,
not just black, but
scientists
light
still don't
absorbing,
fully understand.
erasing reflections, removing silhouettes, making these animals almost impossible to
similar
see
animals
even when they're
grow
right in front of
completely
you.
different
Many of them
patterns?
look unfinished, as if
Why do some
evolution
flash
paused
once,
halfway
while
through its
others
work,
pulse endlessly
as if
in the
appearance
dark?
simply stopped mattering. Which raises a disturbing question. Are these creatures becoming monstrous? Or are we finally seeing life stripped down to nothing? But what does it absolutely
one
need?
thing is
Down
clear.
here, beauty is useless. Symmetry is wasteful. Only efficiency survives. And yet, even this is not the end. Now we descend into a place the planet itself
Below
tried
this
to
point,
hide.
pressure
The Hadal
becomes
Zone,
the true
named after Hades, the underworld. Ocean trenches torn open
At
by
these
tectonic
depths,
violence.
the ocean
Wounds in
presses
Earth's
down
crust.
with thousands
The pressure
of tons
here
of force.
is almost impossible to comprehend. Metal bends. Glass shatters. Human technology fails. For decades, scientists
But life
believed this
does
environment
not
was completely
disappear.
lifeless. They were wrong. At these depths, fish exist with antifreeze-like proteins that prevent their cells from collapsing. Microorganisms survive without
on
sunlight,
Earth,
feeding
where
instead
no
on
human
chemicals
eye has
leaking
ever
from Earth's
seen
interior.
sunlight.
This is not an ecosystem powered by the sun. It is powered by the planet itself. Life here does not depend on the surface. It does not interact
Miles
with it.
beneath the
It may not
surface,
even know it
beneath
exists.
crushing layers
And that
of black
realization
water.
is deeply unsettling. Because if life can evolve in total darkness, under crushing pressure, without warmth, without light, what forms might
Down
exist in
here,
places we
time
have
moves
never been able to
differently.
reach?
Evolution
Scientists still don't
takes
know
darker
how many
turns.
species live in these
Bones
trenches.
twist,
Most have
skin
never been
turns
observed
transparent,
alive.
eyes
Some may
grow
have been
massive.
evolving here for tens of millions of years. Unseen, undisturbed, unaware. So why do deep-sea creatures feel alien? Even frightening?
Teeth don't
Because
grow for
evolution
chewing.
does not
They
care
grow
about
for
comfort.
never letting
It does not
go.
care about beauty. It does not care about us.
And
In
the deeper you
darkness,
descend,
eyes grow enormous
the more
or vanish
familiar life
entirely.
begins to
In
disappear.
scarcity, mouths widen. In pressure, bodies soften. What feels horrifying to the human mind is simply life solving impossible problems in ways we never had to. But there's something else. Our brains evolved in sunlight. We are wired to
creatures
fear the
evolved
dark,
assuming
the
no one would
distorted,
ever
the
find them.
unknown. The deep ocean confronts us with all three at the same time, which leads to a final, unsettling thought. We have mapped the surface of Mars in greater detail
Tonight, we're
than the
going
bottom
where
of our
sunlight
own
has
oceans.
never existed.
Most of Earth remains unexplored, unseen, unimagined,
slip beneath
and
the
somewhere
surface, the
beneath
ocean
kilometers
begins to
of
steal
black
something from
water,
us.
life continues, adapting, evolving,
First,
changing,
color.
without ever knowing we exist. The deep ocean doesn't create monsters. It creates
Reds
survivors.
vanish within minutes.
And the deeper we
Oranges
look,
and yellows
the
fade
more we
soon
realize how small our understanding truly is. Because the most
everything is
unsettling
drowned in
truth
blue.
isn't what lives
then,
down there.
slowly,
It's how much of it is
blue
still waiting to be
disappears, too.
discovered.
This
And here's the
region is
part
known
that should stay with you.
as the
Everything
Twilight
you've seen
Zone.
today, the darkness, the pressure, the
It's not
creatures
because
that
it's
feel
imaginary, but
unreal.
because it exists
This is
between
happening
what
right
we
now,
understand
beneath our feet,
what we don't.
while we scroll, while we sleep,
feet.
while we look up at the stars. There are worlds on this planet we haven't touched, we haven't mapped, we haven't even
not because
imagined
it's
properly.
imaginary, but
And maybe
because it
that's why the
exists
deep
between
ocean
what we
scares us.
understand
Not
and what
because
we
of what
don't.
lives there, but because it reminds us how little we truly know. So before you leave, if this video gave you even a moment of unease, even a second of curiosity, support it with a like so more people can experience this descent. If you have a theory, a fear, or a question about what might still be hiding down there, leave a comment. I read every single one. And if you want to keep exploring the darkest, strangest, most unexplored
Not to
corners
see
of our
clearly,
world, subscribe, because this journey
detect
doesn't end here.
movement,
We've
where
only
light barely
scratched the
exists.
surface. And the deeper we go, the stranger it gets.